How about when I got into business? I remember it took a long time to get used to the idea that it's lonely. In other words, when you're an employee, you can, oh, this boss is such a pain and this and that. We have somebody to share with, we have somebody to commiserate with. But when you're the boss, then you can't complain. Or if the customer is being tough, yeah, you can complain, but who will you complain to? You can't go and tell
Correct.
your employees this customer is terrible, let's just dump them. You can't do that. So my
Right.
question is, how do you deal with the loneliness that sets in when you are running a business, when you are an entrepreneur? How are you able to manage the challenges that come up for you?
So my simple answer is I find mentors like you, Shankar, and I find people to look up to. I find people who have probably achieved 10x of where I am today,
But
and
mentors
I
don't have
find
time, right? Mentors are all busy and they're all running around and traveling
whenever
and
I've reached out to you, you've been available to me. I can tell you that much. So it
yeah, yeah, it's like a few
is
minutes here and there. Yes.
right. So one good thing I have noticed is that you're right about this. That when you're an entrepreneur, it's lonely at the top, and there is not much you can do about that because it's a path you've chosen, right? For example, when I was earlier, so I've set up digital marketing teams for a couple of companies earlier. I'd set up the team at Knight Frank. I'd set up the team at Novosis. Now the thing is, being at a position where you're heading a team, let's say a pre-sales vertical, at an IT company, there is still a boss that you can, say, all right, the responsibility for the entire P&L or for the business unit is his or hers, right? Here, this is a conscious effort, or rather a conscious choice they made. As an entrepreneur, if I've chosen this path, it means that the buck stops at me. So, I wouldn't call it loneliness. Um, I would call it that space where you're looking for sharing and getting creative inspiration, right? And that space is not always full, right? So you are, or rather, I can tell you about me personally. Won't generalize, but I can say this about myself that it takes a lot of pushing myself out of the comfort zone and approaching people at a conference and saying, hey, what is it that you do? What can I learn about you? What is it? Which industry are you from? And can I get to know how that works? Right? So it takes a lot of doing that, and one has to do it consciously. So I think that is keeping me motivated. It is keeping me always trying to find out, all right, what happens in this industry? What happens in, let's say, edutech, all right, or what happens in healthcare? Because if you actually see in the past few months, every industry has got disrupted, but some are able to manage that disruption better. So what are people in that industry doing? If they're able to manage it better, I'm sure there is some reason why they're doing it, right? So what keeps me ticking as an entrepreneur is, all right, yes, there are not many people that I can always say, oh, so and so will just handle it for me. But I know for a fact that I can depend on my team. As long as it comes to a deliverable, I can depend on them very well. Second of all, I have mentors like you, and I have found a lot of encouragement in just sharing very openly, telling them that, hey, you know what, this is a business challenge I'm facing, and this is what I've done so far. I could be totally wrong, but how would you have done this differently? How would you have tackled this problem, right? And I've always found answers. I'm so glad to tell you this, that people are there and they're willing to help, especially people who have achieved a lot in life. um, I can just tell you this much, that when people have reached that level where they've achieved so much, they want to share, right? So it's helped me, and now I'm at a point where you know um, I'm able to do that for my team as well as for my company, and I'm very glad that we are doing this, or we're in this journey together. So I have not felt loneliness for sure. I have felt that that void can be definitely filled if you already have sources of creative inspiration to draw from, and that's where I am right now.
Another thing that comes to mind is that, especially in the tech industry, which you are certainly a part of. The number of
Right.
male entrepreneurs is very large. There are very few women entrepreneurs. And
Sure.
again, it brings up definitely different challenges. We've seen this in San Francisco Bay Area, where the number of women entrepreneurs can be as little as single digit. Have you faced that, and how have you been able to handle the unique challenges of being a woman in business?
Sure. So it's interesting that you point this out because we are a society which is still a lot of C-level positions and managerial positions, management positions are held by men. However, I don't think it's very different in terms of an entrepreneur in India. Today, I would say a lot of us have managed to break the glass ceiling, Shankar. I'm very happy to say this to you because um, there are a lot of let's say avenues. Okay, for example, Goldman Sachs is running it's an initiative called 10,000 women entrepreneurs, and that is it's a beautiful course, by the way. It's called super specializations. So they're running this is being run for free, right? The course has already begun in the early week of August, and I can tell you because I've taken it on. There are a lot of avenues available today for female entrepreneurs, and just the fact that you're a woman, you know, does not change anything. It does, yes, it does mean that you have probably got a few things that you're held accountable for at home, okay, which you have got to step up to and balance and all of that. But I'm very glad to say that that's never been a hindrance. I think people are all of that is changing. So yes, glass ceilings are being broken. I'm very happy that more and more people, more and more women are coming forward and saying, okay, why can't I try this? So I'll give you an example. A friend of mine, Deepa, if she's watching this, then I'm just going to give her a big shout out. She has started a startup of her own, which is in which specializes in Sindhi food. Okay, Sindhi food, which she is such an awesome cook, and she's so great at. For the longest time, I remember going to her house in Bangalore and saying, Deepa, I wish I could have this. And now I see a message from her saying, Sindhuri, I have started out on my own. So what does this mean? And it's not just her, it is a lot of other women, in my friend circles who have taken this step. So it is taking a leap of faith for sure. And it is definitely a big move forward for sure, right? But the very fact that they're doing it now means that they're being fearless, means that there's something that's driving, becoming a driving force for them. There's something that's making them quell that fear, which is great to see, and which means that yes, families are supportive, which means that children are supportive. Maybe their better halves also are in their decision of doing this. So it's a good change to see.
This is really, really encouraging. We need that so badly, with half the population being women, and we cannot not have them be a part of the entrepreneurial force to be able to manage businesses, run businesses, support. At the same time, we also know that the system that we have, for example, children often ask for their mother more than their
Yeah.
father. And I know that
Yeah.
I wasn't an ideal father when my kids were young. So there is that work-life balance. Do you have any advice or any general suggestions for any women who may be wanting to get into business or wanting to take on additional responsibilities at work, and how they will manage that work-life balance? Do you have any suggestions for women?
Sure. So first of all, it's coming the question coming from you yourself. I would just say that I can probably take a couple of points that you had made to me earlier in one of these conversations we have had. So one of the things that women actually do is they underestimate themselves a lot. Okay, so the one thing I would tell them is don't underestimate yourself. I think we are constantly multitasking. We know how that works because I think it's almost second nature to us. So make use of that, right? It's a kind of gift, right? Make use of it. And when you're doing that, ensure that your family is in on it, right? Because these are, especially when you're working from home, you have to know that your family is your support system, right? There is no way you can do this in isolation. There is no way that it gets done on its own and the family is, whatever, managing itself, right? Because ultimately, once at the end of the work day, you know that you're working in a situation where you're going to be responsible for your son's homework or your daughter's preschool activity, whatever that is, right? So I'm just giving you an example because most women, in this age group, maybe they would probably crossed about, maybe having a child and having parents or aging parents to take care of. I can tell you about me. So I'm like the only daughter, and I have aging parents at home. It's not like I'm super productive in other areas at home, but whenever I can, I do ensure that I'm doing my bit in the house, right? The biggest advice I would rather give at this point is ensure that your work day has a structure to it, right? Because when you're working at a place, or let's say when you're working for a company, there's already a structure. But when you're an entrepreneur, it is very easy to get it's very easy to move, tangentially, or it's very easy to get distracted with things. It is very easy to probably lose focus when you're turning an entrepreneur, and when you're going to be responsible for it. Choose that. If you're taking that, then you have to own it up. So own that position, right? Get your family into it. Get your family in on it, as in confide in them that this is going to take energy from your work day, right? This is going to take energy in order for you to do. Likewise, they also have to be in sync with it. They cannot be at a point where they're at a different level than you, right? So everyone has to, and trust me, entrepreneurship requires a lot of commitment. It requires a lot of passion and zeal. So if you have these three things, and if you have a dream, it actually will turn out. You need to have that some calling, because not everyone just says that, oh, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and be an entrepreneur. It doesn't work that way. It is not easy. I have tried this, coming from a family background where my mother's been, working at a bank. They've all held, fairly good positions at companies. So this is actually going off the beaten track for them. So when I'm saying that you can do it, you can do it if you are fearless. You can do it if you take your family into confidence. You can do it if you ensure that they all know the reason why you're doing it. Why does it matter to you? What is it? I mean, why are you doing this ultimately, right? So if you can convince them that this is your dream and this is why you're so passionate about it, right? In Deepa's case, she cooks very well. She cooks almost like a Michelin, chef, right? So she was able to convince her family at some level, saying that, hey, I love doing this, and I would like to make a business out of it. What do you think of it? It's because everyone, said, oh yeah, why not? What can we do to help you, right? So it has to be that way. It can't be done in isolation. That's about it. I mean, like, I'm not I wouldn't say too much, but this is at least the point of starting. This is where one would start. So be fearless. Yes, for sure. You have to go out there. It's just one life. You have to ensure that you bring the best version of yourself. Whatever your dream be, ensure that you put yourself into it.
Well, thank you again. And the reason I asked you is because me as a man, I don't face many of these challenges. My wife did, and she had an amazing network called the Forum for Women Entrepreneurs. And I recently
Sure.
talked to the executive director, the person who was a co-founder, Denise Brousseau. And Denise actually, what was really encouraging was that FW is still on in Silicon Valley, and now they're going more virtual. But again,
Yeah.
there are regional things. There are different things in different parts of the world. The challenges faced by women in Silicon Valley are different from the challenges, say, faced in Mumbai or in Bangalore or in other parts of the world, say in Africa. So we have to understand the location. I tried to help one of the women at the Global Women's Leadership Network, another great forum. But the challenges she was facing in Africa were very distinctly different from the challenges we face in India or
Sure.
women face in the US. And what was funny
Sure.
was that many times we would schedule a time to meet and we couldn't because the network would be down where she was. So it wasn't beneficial to even have a mentoring when she could not be online many times. So yeah, there are distinctly different challenges in different places. So we've talked about practically everything under the sun. Do you have any other closing words before we wrap up this forum? And to all that those who are listening, we will give contact information for Sindhuri about her work. It's not an ad. I'm always encouraging people to be the best that they can be, like I did in my work. So it's really sharing information. If you have questions, if there's any social media link, same thing with my links, I will share that. And if there's enough interest, we can always do another follow-up session. Do you have
Sure.
any other things to say, Sindhuri?
I I think this has been an amazing conversation, and it's actually a rare opportunity that I'm getting to share so much with you, Shankar. I'm so glad to have got this chance. I would just say that I think we need more women out there who are able to find their calling, and who are able to, take that journey, that entrepreneurial journey, and come out of their shells, who are able to push their comfort zones. So I would it's a big shout out to all the women out there that you have just one life. Go ahead, make this dream happen, because it's very, at the end of the day, when you achieve something, of excellence, all right, which is your own, which you're seeing your own dream come true. There's nothing like it. It is so rewarding. It is rewarding at, I would say, at many levels, emotionally, spiritually as well. And I think I would encourage more women to do that. Like, go out there, be alive, and yes, we need more people that are, that are able to bring that aliveness out there. Irrespective, yes, there is going to be, the markets are going to take time to recover. Irrespective of that, there is going to be a time when, yes, there will be a vaccine. There will be, social distancing will take effect. There will definitely be means to handle this better, all right. And when that happens, okay, you would have achieved so much more avenue. You would have achieved so many more avenues and access. This is a great time to be an entrepreneur, I can tell you that.
That's true. I mean, I fully agree with that because when so much has broken, existing paradigms are broken, something new has to
Sure.
happen. Whether it was
Absolutely.
just a simple thing as getting different designer masks to and ventilators to doing business differently, doing work differently, taking care of
Sure.
children in different ways, even
Sure.
monitoring homes and other things in ways that are
Sure.
necessary to do. There's so many more opportunities. It's not like, for example, I did this haircut and look at what happened. I wouldn't want to be bald every single time I try to do a funky haircut. I will find my way to a barber or to a hair salon next time so that I don't have to be again, losing all my hair. So the needs are there. It's just that some of us are postponing the needs or are taking time to go back because of the risks involved. So
Correct.
thanks
Correct.
again, Sindhuri, and I'm so grateful that we had a chance to talk. And to anybody out there, if you want to share, please come forward. It's not a one-way street. We want to share and we want to learn from each other. So if you have something
Awesome.
unique to tell, something different, something the road less taken, please come and share, and it'll be a lot of fun. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Any other? Yeah. Please stay in touch.
Sure. Definitely. Thank you so much for this.